I've actually really considered many times not going to anyone's podcast. And being like, if you want to interview me or ask me things, come to mine. Come ask me questions here.
Actually, I don't know what it looks like on the inside for you, but on the outside, on a global scale, when we're looking at it, that's actually what sets this show apart from everything else that's going on in SA. The fact that you go on, what's the white dude that you went on? What's his name?
There's a couple.
The TikToker guy, the TikTok dude. Yeah. That and the Mariani stuff and the Lelo Ndlovu stuff and the Nkululeko Nkeo stuff. No other podcaster does that in this country. And when you really look at the top podcasters, like what we were saying about Rogan, like he will have podcasters on his platform. He'll go sometimes on other people's stuff, not so much, but that door is open. PBD, people go to his stuff. He goes to people's stuff. You look at, I know the Breakfast Club is not necessarily a podcast, but the format. Charlemagne will go on people's stuff. They will chop it up. You know what I'm saying? So all these guys who actually do it at the top level, that's how they move. So I don't know why in SA there's this monopoly thing going on. It doesn't really make sense to me. Because number one, the audience is very small. It's a small audience. I don't think people realize how small the audience is at the moment. It's like, if you really take a look at how many people have access to cell phones, access to data, and then you look at those numbers, you realize that these are the same people that watch the other stuff or the same people that watch this stuff. But the difference is obviously the commitment of to the brand to say, okay, I only check the clips of this one because I don't only care about the clips, but this one I'll watch in full or whatever. But honestly, if you look at it from on a globalistic view, the South African audience in podcasting is very small. So when you go on other platforms, not only does it help us find out other information as viewers and other podcasters and other stuff, but it shows us your perspective, because there's certain things you don't talk about on the Penuel show that you'll talk about with Mariani. Do you get what I'm saying? Like the female stuff. Like I like the sit downs you did with what was that lady called? You were talking about parenting and
Promise.
No, was it Promise?
Maybe.
No, she has a Zulu name. Starts with an N. A Zulu chick, man. Like you were talking about like fatherhood. Yes. See the stuff like that on the Penuel show.
I don't want to mention people's names, and this ends up in the final.
Oh shit! Yeah, my bad.
How we hitting?
Anyway, let's go.
Fuck competition.
Please edit all that out.
I just need to be a capitalist. No, you said nothing wrong. It's me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say but we'll eat them alive. It's fine. That's why.
But we're not editing this out. Are you able to pick up Debsa's voice? So we.
Are we good?
We're gonna keep all of this.
No, I know we're jumping into Bible culture.
Hey.
No,
or we're gonna pick up from DRAGG.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see what happens.
When I saw that, I'm like, we'll eat you alive. It was like,
it's not even about eating alive. It's just you almost want to tell people don't podcast. Or if you're on a podcast, let us come do it for you.
No, you know why? This is the thing that always fights. People don't understand that they need to put in a lot of effort in it. The fact that it's a mic and you might just hear me, it's enough for them. And I can use a phone. That's why it's easy for anyone to do it. Whereas Tina would like want to elevate, you're competing with Tora again, you're competing with Chris. They don't understand that thing. So for them, their values and our values are not the same.
Do you think we should destroy the competition?
Yeah.
No, do you really believe that? Really?
People who just start for the sake of.
No, forget the sake of. I mean, in terms of other top podcasters.
Yeah.
So we can launch something almost exactly look and feel like Podcast and Chill, and compete with the O's and almost drop similar times and make people be like, hey. And then do the same SMWX. Float Shibambu out like Pen.
No,
send it, we'll edit and up.
We're not talking about content. We're not talking about content.
No, I'm just asking.
Yes. They're not.
You want to destroy them.
They mustn't think we're playing this.
And every other guest that is fire that they have, we hunt them down, we bring them. And we give a better interview.
People think we're playing the same game. Like, we're not playing this game. We're playing the same.
Season, you agree?
Because the thing is, you need to
altruist. For the greater good. God.
No, I just play my own game.
Hey,
but what I'm saying is that if you're better, then you're not competing with that person.
I'm
No,
just like
man.
that.
What are we
What I'm saying, but listen to what I'm saying.
I'm saying there are top podcasts in this country.
Yes,
Gogo's
but-
Koteni, Gogo Maweni. Like I said, we need to hit a Sangoma Witchcraft podcast to compete. Find each other
don't
blind
need another
on
one.
here, smash the fuck out of what they're doing.
You don't
Go
need
see
another
what your
one.
skin chippy is doing. Find ex-cons. Smoke the
You
shit
don't
out of what
need
he's
another
doing.
one of them.
Murder them. Agenda network. Suck.
Yeah,
Bring ex-cons. Murder
The
them.
fact that you didn't come up with it means that you're not meant to be doing it.
Mark Zuckerberg didn't come up with social media platforms. though.
No, but Facebook is a niche.
What's niche about Facebook?
No one did it like Facebook until they did it.
But they started it to murder
The competition.
the other competition about
You're
high
not
five,
hearing
about
what I'm
MySpace.
saying, though. You're
Don't
not hearing-
exist. What are you saying, Baba? Kuluma, uzwakala.
No, but you must late. What I'm saying is that let's not do another agenda network.
No, we're
Just
not.
because there is an agenda network.
We're murdering them, so it's going to be called whatever we want. Ex-con.
But it's another
So,
agenda network though.
Short better.
So that the agenda network dies.
Okay. That's you guys.
When I'm over
Since I went to
Mandela,
No, I'm not better just because I'm saying I don't want to do that.
Well, no,
I'm
man,
saying
yeah.
let me do my own thing. I'm gonna milk that thing.
let's all have small spaza shops. But in a full shop, right, to murder the fucking
Yeah, and I'll
everything.
have a woolies.
Caesar agrees with us, man. You
No.
have Caesar not.
I don't, but it's fine.
I'm speaking to which camera? That camera.
Yeah, that's you.
Sorry, I think we're keeping everything, guys. Penuel The Black Pen. We're with the gents in the house. Khumuto Debza, who's going to be leaving us soon, I think. Sizwe. We've got Shane visiting us, who's actually here with Uputi Osvakashele Namklanje.
Alright.
Drag.
What's up?
Drag. I'm honored to meet you. I know there's been a lot of back and forth of us
Yeah.
needing to sit down, and
Yeah.
I'm honored to sit with you. Where you're facing now is your camera, so if you could just introduce yourself to the people, what your name is, bakubiza ngoba nekasi, udume ngobani, why you have a +44 phone number. You know, the floor is yours, sir.
Listen to this guy. Okay, sure. Yeah, it's been a long time coming, but we're here. Sanbonani, Ninjani, how are you guys? My name is DRAGG. That's the name they refer to me as in the music circles. But my name is Lawrence or Sean. That's my middle name. Don't ask me why I have two white man names. I'm the only person in my family that actually doesn't have a vernac name. I don't even know why my dad chose Lawrence, but anyway, it is what it is. And yeah, I'm a music guy. I'm a published writer, published artist, overall creative, man. I do events management, you know, and stuff like that. So that's my thing. That's my thing.
Your surname, where you were born, where you grew up?
Okay. So I was born here in Joburg. My surname is Sibanda or Masiza.
Oh, siyabonga. Khona something African somewhere.
Sorry.
At least there's something African.
Oh yeah. Sibanda or Masiza. That's my last name. I was born in Joburg. I actually was born in Hillbrow. That's where I was born back in 1993. I'm 30 now. So I was born there. It was a very different time back then. A very, very different time. Grew up around Pretoria Street, around Edith Cavell, and when my parents separated, one moved to Parktown North, and then to Four Ways, and then to Midrand, and I said Noordwijk, and then Benoni is where my mom is finally settled, and then my pops settled, stayed in Four Ways, but at some point along the way they migrated to the UK, so that's where the +44 number comes in.
Going back home to our colonizers.
Yeah. So I followed the colonizers. Well,
Wait,
I'm following the money.
Both of them moved or just one?
Now both of them actually. Okay, so
Wait, did you say your parents separated?
okay, so I
Wait,
basically
did you say that?
yes, I did.
So I heard you corrected.
I did.
Okay.
So I basically I summarized it, but okay, so let me just go back a little bit. So obviously, like I said, I was born I say Hillbrow. Me and Helen Zilla share that heritage.
Oh, snap. Let them know.
Yeah, so I got family. My family comes, some of it is from KZN, some with some Swati, and then my grandmother on my mom's side is from Botswana, and then on my dad's side, some of his family is from Zim, and some is from here. So it's kind of like a bit of a mixed masala thing going
Sadek.
on. Yes.
Sadek.
Yeah. I'm a Sadek kid. Gatle. So Gatle that's okay. Both of my grandmothers. I was more closer to my mom's mom because I grew up under her watch more than on my dad's side. But my grandmother on my mom's side, she's from a place Batikse Ramkhweban in Botswana. So, but then she moved here. I think sometime I'm not sure exactly when, but a long time ago. And my grandfather was a guy into politics and stuff, so he was moving around, and I think they met somewhere in the Zim actually, because his family was very politically inclined and stuff like that. So he was moving around a lot and blah blah blah. So yeah, that story is a bit of a long one, but yeah, so that's kind of my heritage in a nutshell. So yeah, growing up in Hillbrow, Berea, Parktown. My parents separated, I think it was in the early, maybe 99, 2000.
Yeah.
And then my dad moved to Parktown. My mom was staying there by Louis Botha, Berea. She was working in Santon at the time, so she was staying there. I said down because it was easier commuting wise and stuff like that. So that's primarily where I grew up, really. And then they moved, my dad moved to the UK in 2002, and then my mom moved in 2003, and then I didn't move until 2006.
They didn't move together?
No, they were already separated by then.
So it just happens to be a coincidence.
It was a coincidence. It was a coincidence. It's funny because they never really discussed it. It was like, my dad didn't tell anybody he was going. And then one day he just calls me. He's like, saying, Lana say Milton Keynes. Milton Keynes group. Is it in Gauteng? He's like, no, I'm in England. I'm like, what? England? So he's like, yeah, so I would love you to come one day. I was like, okay, whatever. So I didn't really think too deep about it. I'm a kid.
Sure.
And then a year later, somehow, somewhere, my mom comes and tells us, because at the time, we used to go visit Ukoko, like every school holidays.
Yeah.
So one of the school holidays, my mom pops up and goes, well, I want to tell you guys, I have an older sister. I have two sisters now. One is significantly younger than me. She's only like 13 or something.
Sure.
She was born that side in the UK.
Yeah.
Then I have my other sister, Witepo, who was older than me. She was born here like me. So at that time, it was just the two of us. So my mom comes and goes, in about 2 weeks, I'm going to go away. I'm going to go work in the UK. And then when I see how things are, you guys can join me. I'm like, how you just drop the bombshell like you're going into Pitori or something, But we took it, and yeah, she went, and then, she figured things out. And then somewhere between me moving there and her moving.
Sure.
We'll get back to in depth about it, but this is where I suffered meningitis, which I'm not sure if you know what it is, but most people don't generally know what it is or how it even affects you. That's when I suffered meningitis, and then I lost my eyesight along the way. It didn't happen overnight, but it happened over a period of time. And then as soon as I recovered from that, that's when I moved to the UK, like in 2006. So that's why there's a 3-year gap between my mom going and me going. Yeah.
I wanted to ask a question, like, are you good at music? Because I had like a blind joke.
Go for it.
It's like, are you good at music? Yeah, like how good? Like, we're blind. Yes, now you just kind of stole my shine. Yes, as I had it loaded in the pocket there.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
For people that don't know, bro, what's meningitis?
Meningitis is it's a layered thing, man. It affects your pretty much your senses. And to put it in simpler terms, there's different types of it. There's the bacterial, there's a viral, etc., etc. So
it's an infection.
You could say that, but it's not an infection in the sense of you catch it.
Okay.
You don't catch it. It's almost like when you have brain tumor or something along those lines. It's a buildup of fluid in your brain.
Damn.
And when that fluid builds up, they have to then drain it through your spine because your spine is connected to your brain. So you do what we call a lumbar puncture. And if it's not caught early enough, it can cause significant issues. Maybe 3 out of 5 people die usually. So if you do,
so you're like a miracle here.
Definitely, because I mean,
hey, I'm not even laughing. Why am I laughing? No.
Definitely,
you're at 2 out of 5.
yeah, exactly. I'm a stat.
Jeez, congrats, bro. Congrats.
Man.
Well done.
Shit, I survived to make it onto the Penuel show. I mean,
that's what's up.
That's a gold medal right there. But anyway, so yeah, like I mean, it's a very deadly thing. And at the time when I first caught it, when it first happened, I didn't really know what was going on because I was a very athletic kid growing up. I used to like running. Track and field was my thing. That's why even till the Olympics, like during the Olympics, like that's my favorite thing. I used to love track.
Yeah.
So I remember training. Both me and my little brother here, O'Shane, we went to a Rosneath. I don't know if you know about Rosneath Primary, just near the Constitutional Hill there by as if you're going towards Highland North. But anyway, so yeah, like I used to do track, and basically I remember training and feeling like my body wasn't right, but I wasn't sure what it is. And I remember just like being sick and then telling the teachers that I'm not feeling good, I need to go home. And then it just kept getting worse. At first, the GP is like, it might be malaria or something, you know what I'm saying? But then the symptoms just kept getting crazier and crazier because the headaches are really bad. No Panadol, no grandpa, no nothing can save you from those headaches. So it just kept getting bad. So that's when I then had to go to Johannesburg Hospital, and then they were like, hey, this is meningitis. So we have to start lumbar punches immediately. So that's when started doing the whole training thing, and yeah, it's not a pleasant experience, but it's probably what saved my life, because most of the times you lose your limbs with meningitis because it affects your senses.
Yeah.
It's either you lose sight, smell, hearing, use of your legs, whatever. So that's kind of what happened to me. All of that happened actually to me at some point. But then my hearing started to come back. And then I started to gain the use of my legs as well and stuff. And then I think at some point, I was transferred to a different hospital because Johannesburg Hospital couldn't really do that much because I was still a child. I was a kid. So they transferred me to what is now known as Rahima Musa, which was back then, what was it called? Coronation Hospital, yeah, it was Coronation. So that's where basically I recovered. That's where I was saved. I mean, I think I spent like 9 months
in hospital.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, it was from around February, March.
Everything else came back except for your sight.
Except for my sight. Yeah.
Are you fully fine now except for your sight?
I mean, I have a slight tinnitus on my left ear, like in terms of hearing, but I can still hear, as you can hear. I can hear you, but it's not perfect like how it was, but it definitely came back. And the crazy thing is, it was with the help of a dietitian, because at the time I couldn't even eat, because with meningitis, like everything smells bad. Like sometimes, like we know food, like spices and stuff, it just didn't smell good. So I couldn't really keep food down. I think that was what was making it worse, because you're weak physically, you're not eating, but this thing is also consuming you. So you understand? So that's what was going on. And then at some point, a dietitian was like, okay, how about you try and change his diet and do this and do that, and let's see what works, because it was bad at the time. It was bad, man, because imagine not being able to see and not being able to hear. So when people would visit me, I couldn't hear them. I couldn't see them, obviously. But I also was immobile because I'm bedbound. So all I had to do really was just be on that bed all day long. Like, so at some point, I laugh now, but because when I think back, I'm like, that was crazy. But Shane's mom, me and Shane, okay, Shane here, it's my I say my little brother, but I can know my they're blood sisters.
Sure.
So his mom, my mom died like him. So basically, she used to visit me a lot. I mean, Shane was a baby back then, but what used to happen was she would write on the palm of my hand what she was trying to say to me, and I would try and read what she's saying. So that's the only way I could differentiate who's here or get the messaging, because I couldn't hear.
Yeah.
So now that I think back, I'm like, damn, how the hell do you survive several months in that almost vegetative state, really? But I guess God wasn't done with me.
Were you scared?
On what, in the moment, you're not scared because you're not even really aware of the extent of what's going on. Do you know what I'm saying? You're sort of like...
You weren't fully aware of what was happening.
No.
Like, I'm trying to think of the months in hospital and how you're feeling. All this information you're telling me now.
Yeah.
Is it because you were present at the time? Was it because someone explained to you after?
I was present, but you remember, I'm looking at it from the inside out, not from the other way around. So I was cognizant of it, but I wasn't understanding the extent of what was going on. Like, when people say, yo, you're skinny, you don't realize that you're skinny. You don't know you're skinny.
Sure.
To you just, you know what I mean? Maybe if I had seen myself on the mirror, I'd be like, damn. But like I said, I couldn't see myself. I couldn't hear myself. I couldn't hear anything. So at the time, days would rise and the sun would rise and set. I wouldn't even really know what time of the day it was because I wasn't outside. I wasn't going outside. I wasn't doing anything. So, and then the only thing that I would know is the difference between different nurses when they would come, because I would, like, when they would touch my hand, I would know, oh, this is a different. And I remember there was a Chinese
when they
nurse.
touch your hand.
Yeah, like,
or you'd feel it, say.
Yeah, I would feel the texture that.
I mind that these are hard hands.
Well, Couldnt sisters Kosan, I used to hate that woman.
Oh,
man.
hey, you are dropping names now.
Hey, man, she was bad, bro.
Rough hands.
She's probably retired by now, anyway. So, but yeah, she was bad. Like, she's one of those that used to just come to work and she wanted to sleep. So when at night you're like trying to get a what do they call it? The pan pot, whatever they call it. You know, the thing that you pee in when you're in hospital. She'd be like, hey, I'm from the man. You know, so like she wasn't even really like trying to hear it. You know what I'm saying?
Damn.
And it's like, damn, the mom told sister, this was kind of then something is wrong, but you know, she wants to take a nap. But then there were other nurses there that were really doing their jobs. You know what I mean? She wasn't the only one like that. There was a couple, but there was also some that were really great. So that whole experience really showed me firsthand the system and how certain things were broken and how certain things needed to be fixed back then.
We can laugh about it now, but it's actually not funny, man. The amount of like ill treatment
absolutely
a lot of patients get because of not like the system, just the individual person who's meant to be like helping you out.
When I say system, I'm not necessarily saying. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying, G.
Yeah. No, I'm not. When
I
say
need to
system,
pee, bro. It
is painful, and I mean, like when I say system, I'm not referring necessarily like the healthcare or whatever. I'm referring more to some people are there because they're not necessarily qualified to be there, but because they knew the right people or they could get away with not doing what they were supposed to be doing, it was just allowed to happen. You know what I'm saying? So because there's no way as a nurse you can sleep and there's no camera looking at you to say, you know what I'm saying? Like,
there's no accountability.
There's no accountability. You know what I'm saying? So that's what the issue was for me. But like I say, I experienced all of that firsthand. So for me, that's where the journey into music started, because my sister used to visit me. She used to come, and she was matriculating. Was she matriculating around that time? Or almost somewhere there anyway. I can't remember exactly.
Late high school.
Sorry?
She was in late high school.
Yeah, somewhere, because she's about 38 ish now. So yeah, she would have been somewhere late high school. So she used to come and bring like a radio, because me and her like grew up loving music. Like I don't have any brothers. I grew up with a sister. So my sister being the older one, she used to make me, you know, that thing. I don't know. Okay, you only have, your sister's younger than you, so you probably don't relate. But she used to have these songbooks where they write lyrics.
Yeah.
They would listen to like Abo Tami, Abo Brandy, Abo.
That's what's up. Tony Braxton.
All of that stuff. And then would have a competition to write some lyrics. So we'd see who's going to get the most lyrics. Because we couldn't Google back then. You know, I sound old. I'm only 30, but it's crazy how technology has come so far along in the last 15 years. So that's where the love for music started for me. It was more like, okay, we would listen and then we would recite. So that was our hobby before I was sick and all that. So when I became sick, that was the thing that she would bond with me on. Like, she would bring this little radio with batteries and just put Metro FM on for me and just put like stuff, even though I couldn't hear it. But that was a thing that she would do, because that was a thing that she knew her brother, you know, like that's how we used to bond being kids. Yeah. So she used to always do that. So somehow it just stuck with me. So when my hearing started to come back, I would listen to that stereo, because that's the only thing I could do really at the time. And then I started to just like love the music. And then I would like, wait, let me just see if I can write my own lyrics to, like I would be listening to Uzola or Mapaputi or whatever. Instead of singing his lyrics on his song, I'm like making up my own shit. I'm like, okay, let me see how it's gonna go. And then I just kept doing that. And eventually that just became my outlet, like therapeutic. It was therapeutic. So that's where the love for music really, really kind of like manifested itself. Like it's just, yeah. But yeah, in those hospital days, like just having nothing to do and just.
Are you fully blind, or are you like a percentage?
I would say probably 90%.
Can you see some?
I can tell like a little bit of shadows and movement, but it's more like the best way I can explain it to you as a sighted person is it's like trying to look through. How can I put it? Have you ever done this where you look, you know, like when you turn on a light?
Sure.
Either inside a house or outside a house, and you're looking through a lace curtain outside, you know, like you can see, you know, when you light up one side of a house, then
sure,
the other person can see you, but you can't see them, right?
Okay.
But it's sort of, you can see them, but it's very hazy.
Sure.
It's very hazy. So it's kind of like trying to look through a dark place through a veil.
You can see silhouettes.
Yes.
You can see light and dark.
Very, very faint silhouettes, yes, because it's very faint, like, but I can tell a little bit. So yeah, so legally blind, I can't drive, I can't do anything like that. But yeah, that's.
No thanks, bro. You actually came here to talk about music. You know, we're speaking about your life. What is your, just in summary, what is your music journey been like? And then we can segue from there into the important thing you wanted us to come and chat about today, which is the exploitation of artists.
Yeah.
And how South Africans, number one, need to be connecting with people overseas in terms of creativity.
Yeah.
And how certain platforms are actually coming to almost take our stories because we're not owning them ourselves. So summary, how did you get into music? Okay. How's your music journey going?
Okay.
And then, we can go into the other stuff.
Okay, cool. So, I mean, based on obviously what I just told you, that's where the kind of beginning of it kind of started to show itself up. So when I moved to the UK, as a VI person, which stands for visually impaired or blind, whatever you want to call it, but people tend to use visually impaired nowadays.
Pop jokes.
It does have its privileges.
Pop jokes. So you're a VIP.
It does.
Visually impaired person.
It does have its privileges. It does have its VIP situations. I promise. But so
where in the UK are you based?
Yeah. Sorry.
Where in the UK are you based?
Where do I?
Where are you based in the UK?
Okay, where in the UK am I based? I'm in Yorkshire, sort of up north. So close
that's in
to
England.
Leeds, like near Sheffield.
Me, I don't know, Baba.
Okay.
This is in England.
Yes.
Because the UK includes Scotland, Ireland, Wales.
Yes.
So you're in England.
Yes.
In the north.
In Yorkshire, which is the county, which would be, I guess, equivalent to saying Gauteng.
Okay.
And then I live in a town, in a city, not a town, they'll hurt me for saying that. In a city, it's a small city, but it's called Hull. It's just right next to Leeds, which is probably the biggest city in Yorkshire.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a small city with maybe a population of like maybe 200 and something thousand people.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's where I've spent most of my years over there.
Did you join your mom there?
Yeah.
And how?
Yeah. So that's where I joined my mom. But my dad used to stay. He stayed everywhere. He stayed, like I said, Milton Keynes.
Yeah.
He stayed in London. He stayed in. He moved to Scotland at some point, Manchester, Sheffield. So I used to visit him in all those places as well.
Right.
But anyway, going to the music. So when I moved to Yorkshire, when I moved to Hull, I went into. When I started schooling out there, I went to a Catholic school, St. Mary's. Am I allowed to? I don't know. Yeah. I went to St. Mary's College.
Shout out to St. Mary's and Hull. Shout out to all the St. Mary's basically, because they dope schools even here.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
Pretty girls, but we're old now. Back in the day. The girls now are young, so.
Yeah, no, it was.
Shout out to St. Mary's, man.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was cool because just long story short, when I went there, when I first moved out there, they were like, look, there's not much we can do for you in terms of your condition because that's just the after effects of meningitis. And it has like, because my optic nerve is what was basically affected. So they were like, the doctors, they were like, at the moment, we don't have the tech for it. I think they do now. It's super expensive, but they do now. Because at the time they were like, it's gonna take 10 years to get this tech working, and that was back in like the early 10s. So they were like, but you're still fine in terms of your brain still works and all that. So you can choose, do you wanna go to mainstream school or do you wanna go to specialized school? But I chose to go to mainstream because I felt like if I went to a specialized school, it was always gonna be like a constant reminder of the battle I've just had to fight. So because there's people that are worse than you there in terms of their situation. So that can be a bit tough on the spirit for somebody who's trying to get back on their feet, trying to find their way. So I went to
an interesting dynamic that you're raising. That some kids might have some kind of, I don't know if you'd call it a disability, but not want to be around other kids with a disability because it kind of knocks how they feel.
Yeah. I mean, some people feel more comfortable with that because they feel like, well, at least I'm not alone. But for me, with the way how I'm built, I was like, nah, like I need to feel a little bit of the me that I know.
Yeah.
And over there, they were like, well, we can, no, either way, whichever way you go, we're going to give you the support. We're going to make sure you have the assistance. You're going to make sure you have the equipment to adapt, etc. So then when I went to St. Mary's, I basically started learning tech, how to use, phones, computers, blah, blah, blah. Which means that I would have to use install softwares, something called JAWS. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that because it's a brand, but anyway.
Nothing wrong. JAWS will give us money later. Thanks, JAWS.
Yeah, which is an acronym for Job Access with Speech.
Okay. Job Access with Speech.
Yeah, Job Access with Speech.
JAWS.
Yeah. So it's a software that you install on a Windows computer.
Look, you're also giving a plug to people that maybe have never heard of it, so they can go check it out.
For sure. These are, it's important for some people out there that might want to use, those things.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of helped me be able to use computers and be able to, my first experience properly with Google and things like that. So I started Googling stuff, and then I would Google music stuff and I would Google, I would search, because as much as I've lived in the UK, I've always been very much in touch with essay. Essays, that's why I'm even on this platform right now. This is religious for me. When I'm out there, I'm still checking for all this stuff because I want to know what's going on at home.
Yeah.
So I would always Google the music and who's dropped what, who did what, and then eventually I'm I want to learn how to play keys. So I started doing piano lessons at St. Mary's. And then I picked up drums as well. I started doing a bit of drums. And my piano teacher was like, look, you're good at playing keys, but you're not the best. I was like, okay. He was like, but you have an ear and rhythm that is very specific to popular, or what people call, or Christians call, circular music. How about you try going into sound engineering or music production? I was like, I never thought about it, but I'll look into it. So using all these things, resources, I started to find out about music and how vast it was in terms of, you know, from the performance side, which is obviously, you know, learning an instrument or learning how to sing or whatever, to the engineering, to the sound creation and manipulation, to all these different things. So I was like, damn, this is what I want to do. This is really what I want to do. So that's where the love for actually really creating music started. And it just so happened that at the time, my cousin, one of my cousins, Unoma, she was at the same college as me, but she was older. One of her friends was from Malawi originally, but obviously we met over there. Her friend was like, oh, doesn't your little cousin rap or something like that? He's into music, yeah, whatever. And then she was like, my cousin is actually a producer. Maybe I should introduce them and see what happens. And that guy was a guy called Jinx. He was a guy from Malawi. He had a record label in Malawi, and he was working with a lot of like big artists over there and stuff, but he was based in the UK at the time. So that's the guy who took me under his wing when I was like 14 or 15 or something like that. And he must have been maybe in his mid-20s at the time. So he gave me my first gigs, my first songs, he taught me how to structure songs, how you write lyrics, how you make a hook, things like that, man. So from there, I just never looked back. He decided to, no pun intended, I never looked back, but
Hey, look, this guy said he's got thick skin, so we can clap the blind jokes.
No pun intended, but
damn.
Yeah, so he was like, you know, so I learned everything from him, man, and then the love for music started from there. So from there, he put me on to, he helped me, he introduced me to other guys. Shout out to my bro, DJ Redlocks and stuff. Like, he became my manager at the time. This is back in like 2010 or something, 2011. And then, yeah, I started getting gigs. Like, I was opening for one of the guys that inspired me to start rapping in the first place back then was, I came up and I know you were a hip hop head. I liked like that whole G Unit.
Am I being tested now? Keep going, Baba.
I know you were a hip hop head. So I, you know, that whole Rough Riders era, you know, that whole G Unit era, even going back, you know, obviously to the Wu-Tangs and even some of the underground stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
I opened for the game.
Damn.
That was one of my first like experiences, like through my homeboys back then, and
it's too dope.
Opened for Marion. I started opening for a few other people, you know. So it was like it just kept growing and growing, and I started hitting festival stages. And I was like, oh shit, this is turning into something. But I'm still in school, so at the time, what ends up happening is somebody at BBC, I think that video is somewhere on YouTube. I posted it recently, not too long ago. Somebody at BBC caught wind of what I was doing, and they were like, "Yo, we want to come and interview you, but because you're a minor, we have to do it around an adult. So it's either your mom has to be there, or we can come to your school." But my mom was working, so I was like, "Well, come to school then," because I didn't want to miss on the opportunity. So they came to the school. And the music teacher there was like, yeah, you can use the music room. So at the time, there was a girl called Laura Prescott that I was in school with. She used to sing in the choir at school, and me and her used to do jam sessions all together all the time. So I was like, Laura, can we come up with something quick, like to audition for this thing? And well, not audition, but to showcase for this interview. And she was like, okay, how about we do a Black Eyed Peas song, and I'll do the hook and you do the rapping, you do the Will.i.am parts. And I was like, sure. And then we did that, and then it went viral back then. Like, everybody was Facebooking me like, oh my God, I saw you on TV, oh my God. And then one opportunity just led to another. I just kept working with more and more people. I was working with Emily Sande, and Emily Sande's producer, and, you know, I don't know if you know who Emily Sande was, but she was quite...
No, I know Emily Sande.
Yeah, she was
I'll pass these tests.
Yeah,
Emily's big, yeah. Amazing singer.
He was working with Leona Lewis and all these people. So he kind of mentored me as well, taught me a few things, and yeah, and then we just kept growing from there, bro. And then, you know, obviously here we are now. I'm summarizing because the story's long. You know, I've been around there for a while, but I've never necessarily been a mainstream guy, but I've always been in and around the conversation. And then at some point I decided, look, like I said, I have a love for South Africa. I have a love for Africa. I'm like, how do we bridge the gap between what's going on over there and what's going on over here? Because I could tell that what was going on overseas, people were not really catching on to it over here. That's when I ventured into events management. I'm like, okay, how do I find a way? Because there was a few homies that I had around me. I'm like, how do we find a way to book some of these artists from this side to come that side and perform and do stuff? So we would work and bring some of the, some artists over and try and do some shows. But I realized that a lot of them were not ready, man. They didn't really see the vision of what we were trying to do. I'm happy that I'm hearing more of the conversation around that now, 10 years later. But the people that caught the idea back then were the Nigerians and the Ghanaians.
Yeah.
So I started doing a lot of the Afrobeats events back then because Davido, Burna Boy, Tiwa Savage, these guys, what they used to do is they used to come to the UK and there would be like these group chats on WhatsApp and everything. They would send like a broadcast. Their managers, their teams would send a broadcast and say, I'm around. If you want me at your club or wherever, if you're a promoter, owner, whatever, just give me 2,000 pounds, I'll come perform. So that was very favorable for promoters because, well, I don't have to pay your visas. I don't have to fly your whole team. I don't have to do nothing. All I have to do is pay my street team, promote your event, and we good. So that's what they used to do. So now then those guys would come, perform for these 2, 3, 4K, whatever, depending on who it was. If 20 promoters book you, you do the math how much that is in pounds, and then you take that back home.
You're rich.
It's good money. Yeah. Obviously, over there, it's kind of like beginner money, but in perspective, like I'm saying, it makes sense because you're growing your audience, not only on a financial level, but you're growing an audience in terms of you're hitting clubs that normally wouldn't fly you over because maybe they don't have the budget to fly you and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But there's an audience. They have people that go there every day, every week to party. So these guys, Mr. Easy, those guys, they were growing their audience like that. So I started like dabbling there, but I was kind of like, yo, how can I do this with SA artists? I don't want to mention names, but I did hit up a few people at the time. One of them was from KZN. They were popping at the time. And I reached out because I knew that person's manager. And I was like, yo, can we bring in this person? Was like, it's going to be about 300,000 rands. I was like, 300,000 rands?
Why the accent? Why are we speaking like that now? It's going to be 300,000 rands.
I took about 300,000 plus, what was it? 6 people that they were going to fly with. And my visa for each of these people, we need how many rooms? I was like, you're crazy. Because by the time I've paid all of that, it's going to be close to 1 million rands. And I know I'm not going to recoup that money. Because you're not popping over here. As much as you think you're popping over there.
I'm trying to get you established here. And you want to be booked as if you're a star here.
Exactly. The only person who understood the assignment was Black Coffee. He did exactly what I'm saying right now. He did it year in, year out. He would come, camp overseas, take this little money compared to what maybe we would get paid here. But the difference is his audience is growing because you can only perform in Bryanston and Rosebank so many times. Do you know what I'm saying? You're performing.
You reckon this is still a plug even now? Like I'm thinking for myself as a podcaster. Just the idea of going to visit like parts of the UK, the US.
Did Chris do that? Chris Williamson.
Did he do that? Did he traveled and he camped
traveled a lot to the
US?
To the States, Texas.
Trying to meet up with podcasters. If you guys are around, hit me up. I'm a podcaster from.
That's the game plan.
And musicians should also be doing that now. Like guys, just travel overseas, try and maybe even attend certain performances. And network with the guys there. Like, hey, I'm actually an artist back in SA. I came here on my own money. So if you want to work, if you don't mind me grabbing the mic for 5 minutes.
Didn't Tumi also do that? From Tumi and the Volume?
He did that. I think he went out there. I think he was in Germany or France for a while. And he recorded an album out there as well. I think he recorded the album with the song, I Can't Decide If It's the Money. What was that album? I forgot. It was a while back. But he been doing that for a while.
I think South African artists are scary compared to like Nigerians and others. Because You even ask about people like, may rest in peace, AKA and Casper, why they never ventured out. Not to like be a star in America, but just to be like, for 2 weeks a year, I'm gonna go to a big market where I'm a nobody. Just to be like, look, I'm here. We're popping in SA and then go home. Just as even if it's not for you, for future kids to be like, hey, there's an artist that used to come through here.
Yeah.
And if ever you pop, then you're like, sure. But if not, you're like 2 weeks a year.
Yeah.
4 weeks a year. I go to Europe, I go to thing, I'm a nobody, I tell people, then I come back.
Yeah. No, that's the game plan. You're right. Like, I mean, that's exactly what you're supposed to do, because the difference between I think I've heard you mention this before on the pod. South Africans generally, when it comes to travel, we need to do better in that area. Because many other Africans do exactly what you're saying in many other spaces. And contrary to popular belief, the people that keep, I know some, damn, please don't, I'm trying to get myself jammed up here. But the people that keep South African culture alive a lot, especially in the UK, from what I've seen, Germany, France, some parts of the US, is more other SADC people more than it is South Africans. It's more Zimbabweans, it's more Malawi, it's more Zambia. Those are the people that are keeping the music alive that side. I can count on one hand how many South Africans you meet in any given city in the UK compared to Zimbabweans. So what I mean by that basically is we don't capitalize on that enough, because what the Nigerians did was before Afrobeats rose to what they are now, it was mainly Caribbeans that were dominating in the UK, like Jamaicans and St. Lucians, whatever, because of the Windrush era, the Windrush Generation that came over, whatever. So their music. What's
the Windrush Generation? I don't know what that is.
Okay, that was basically back in the day, like in the days when, like the whole Commonwealth thing, basically when after the World War and all that stuff, even during the World War, they had like, they were recruiting people to fight for the British Army and to fight in World War, blah, blah, from all these Commonwealth countries, including here and the Caribbeans, because the Caribbean islands are pretty much still under
pretty much
rule by the
British
rule.
Yeah.
So
we saw some of the athletes still running for Britain.
Yeah, exactly.
Anguilla,
So
I think Saint Lucia was running for itself, but there was Zonell Hughes.
Yes.
For example, is under an island that is Commonwealth.
Yes, and for a while, a lot of those countries could travel to the UK with no visa, no nothing, so you could just up and go. That was like the return of the favor, I guess, at some point. So there's a lot of Jamaicans, there's a lot of all these other Caribbeans, so their music dominated. But what the Nigerians and the West Africans found was a way how to simulate, in a way to say, how do we sell this to them? And then they would tap into that energy, because if you listen to dancehall and listen to Afrobeats and listen to patois and listen to pidgin, they're like cousins. You know what I'm saying? So they tapped into that. Instead of saying, oh no, patois is different, or the rhythm, they were like, how do we take that and add what we want to add on top of it? So that's how you then get what they call Afro dancehall today, and what they call Afro bashment and all that stuff, which is like a fusion of Jamaican and African sort of vibes. And patois, it's like bastardized English, just like pidgin English, right? So they borrow from each other. The way they eat, like Jamaicans love plantain, they love goat curry, they eat rice and peas. It's very similar. So the West Africans tapped into that, and then at some point, people caught on to say, okay, there's a difference between rice and peas by Jamaicans and jollof. So they're like, okay, now they're interested in the culture. And then the Nigerians, obviously, they have the numbers in terms of migration. So it was easier for them to usher in the culture. But I don't feel like South Africa does enough of that to say, okay, we don't have the numbers yet, but we have people that are interested in the culture. How do we go there to actually capitalize? Right now, it's more like, okay, Amapiano's cool, but I don't really see enough of even the top guys coming through to say, Don Jazzy was in the UK like every other month back then. D-Banj was in the UK every other month. Wizkid was even signed to a UK management company. He was signed to Disturbing Peace, which was owned by Tiny Temper, who was a UK rapper back then. Like,
shout out to Tiny Temper.
Yeah, so when you look at how it grew.
And Don Jazzy.
Yeah. So when you look at how it grew, I'm like, without mentioning names, I'm like, some of the top guys here, I'm like, why are you not over here pushing the culture? And then when somebody takes it and makes Afro piano, you complain to say, oh, it's not real piano. And I'm like, but you're not doing anything to elevate what you claim to be your sound. What are you actually, do you know what I'm saying? But most of the time I realize it's ego.
It's ego. Guys are not taking each other with. So I've spoken to Shimza.
Yeah.
I've spoken to Euphonic.
Yeah.
You've obviously mentioned Black Coffee.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about DJ Fresh.
Yeah.
There are a couple of guys here who are trying to build global brands.
Yes.
I don't know if Tulo the song has also been involved in
Tulo's definitely one of them.
But they meant to be, and I don't know if it's keeping other people out situation, but it's like take people with, bro. Take people with. Tushimza's always traveling. Euphonic, people don't even know that Euphonic is never here. And it's speaking to what you're speaking about, but it's almost like guys are working solo, quiet missions.
Right. I don't think so. I think what happens almost, I don't want to speak for Euphonic because I don't know what the situation, why, but based on what I'm saying to you, from an events manager standpoint, from a person who's tried to book certain people or to bring them along, there's just a lack of interest. Like you will say to somebody, look, I can give you room and board. I can give you something to eat. I can help you with transportation. There's open mics. There's like, I know a lot of people that, I've been out there for 18 years. Yeah. I know people that do festivals. Like, I don't know if you ever heard of Cream. All these different festivals. Like Cream is one of the biggest like house music festivals. I know a couple guys who work with those guys and stuff like that. And so I would know people that do house here, and I'd be like, yo, I'm not big time, but I know the big time people that you can connect with. If you come here, they're not going to bring you because they don't know you. But if you come, I can take you there. And then maybe you can, perform for free a couple songs or perform for a beer or two. They'll be like, nah, I'd rather stay in SA because I know I'll go to Mpumalanga and I'll get my 20K. And I'm like, okay, cool. So that it tends to happen a lot where people are short-sighted. It's more like they want the money, the instant gratification.
Yeah.
But I'm like, are you growing though? Because like I say, when you look at the markets in SA that you can hit,
it's small.
It's very small.
Are you passionate because you are South African? Or do you think maybe there's something unique about South African culture that we should be exporting?
I think it's both. I'm passionate because I'm like, I know what this country has created. I mean, if you think from Amambazo Mnyama to Jabukanyile to whoever, Rebecca, whoever, like the history of this country's music and the diversity, it's very rich. I think the only country in Africa, I know maybe I'm being biased, but the only country that I think can rival the diversity and the richness of South African music is Congo. The depth of Congolese music is crazy. But again, because they also didn't push enough, and maybe there's a language barrier because it's French more than English, Nigerians took what we now know as Afrobeats. A lot of that was birthed in Congo, right? So those rhythms, what we knew as rumba, what we know as rumba, what we know as like when you look at the history of Abo Kanda Bongo Man, Abo Yondo Sister, Abo Awilo Longomba, like I'm a music guy, so like I pay attention to what's going on. So that music that came from there later on became, because if you listen to Fela Kuti's Afrobeat, it's more jazz inspired.
Yeah.
But the rhythm, the drum rhythm that we now know to be Nigerian Afrobeat or Ghanaian, it derives from the Congo. But that's what happens when you don't push. So here, I feel like the opportunity is there. It's not lost. But I feel like the people that should be having the conversation are not loud enough, or maybe they're not passionate enough. I don't know what it is. But I also feel like it gets to a point where if you're a Black Coffee or a Euphonic, you're like, look, I can lead you to the water, but I can't make you drink.
These are facts.
Do you know what I'm saying? So that's what tends to happen. And I can see the frustration. And I get it sometimes because I'm like, look, I can help you. Like, you can come through. Like I said, I don't have the budget to give you a 1 million rands to come over. But if you come and say, look, I want to be there for a month, I'm willing to do open mic nights, I can take you to several. I can get you a camera guy. I can get you a video, a sound guy to capture all of that. Document the journey, put it out there. Eventually what then happens is, because let me tell you something, overseas, white people, they're more concerned about the art than they are about your fame. If you're really dope at what you do with 2 views, trust me, they're putting you on something, whether it's a theater to perform, whether it's a play, whether it's they're like, look, we like what you do. There's 5,000 euros here. Can you come and do it here, please? So you know what I'm saying? And then it's up to you to take that opportunity and make something out of it. You know, they don't look at it like if you say, hey, my song is playing on radio in SA somewhere, I don't know, in a village. To them, it's like, it's an accolade. It's like, oh shit, okay, you're pushing, you're playing somewhere, you're doing something. How can we help you get somewhere? Do you know what I'm saying? Of course, there's always exploitation, which we're coming to now. But they're always willing to say, how can we take that and put it? That's how you end up with guys from KZN with a song in Lion King. Because they're more interested in the art. They're not interested in, are you the biggest thing? Are you trending?
Are you? How big are you?
Exactly.
We love
we love this texture of this thing you're doing. You understand? This is why I feel like even this platform has so much potential, because when I've been a fan, and by the way, I don't know if you've ever had a paying member on this show, but I am a paying member on the channel. I am a paying member on the channel. So not because I'm like I chose to become a paying member, because I'm like, I see where this can go, and I'm like, I hope this team doesn't drop the ball, because we know when you've seen this movie so many times and you know how it ends, you're like, please don't drop the ball. Please don't drop the ball. And so far you haven't, because I know where it can go. When the iHeartMedia comes knocking, when whoever, these big media giants come knocking and saying, look, how can we partner with you to make this thing bigger? You gotta be ready to have those conversations, and you gotta be prepared to create that content at that level. And if you're already doing it with the resources you have, when you go to Russia, when you go to Dubai, when you go to capture certain things that I haven't seen a single podcaster doing until you did it in this country, it shows the vision. And that's what's lacking in the music here. I mean, obviously the rise of Tyler's changing things, and it's helping kind of open up eyes a little bit of certain people, but there's still work to be done, bro. There's still work to be done.
I don't know if you guys have any comments, questions before we go to exploitation. Sis?
No chance.
Just taking the story in. I've got so many thoughts, man, but I guess it's not for me to...
No, go for it.
No, it's not for you. It's just me reflecting on everything you've said.
Oh, yeah.
The plug, the moving, I know Josh Rubin, Wide Awake podcast, went to the USA for a while.
Yeah.
I think last year, just trying to sit with various people. And some of the intel he comes back with are things like, every person you interview has been like on 100 podcasts.
Yeah.
So they know how to manage story, they know how to manage mic, cameras. Whereas here, you're interviewing a person for the first time.
Yeah.
You know, when you sit with like gangsters from Cape Town, it's their first time on a platform.
Right.
So because like you mentioned music and podcasting, like how many different art forms do you think that's transferable? Like that whole game plan is transferable to? Like how many different types of artists should be maybe trying to follow that game plan?
How many different types of
artists,
should be trying to follow the what we just been speaking about?
Yeah.
Are you trying to ask if there's specific types of art we have here that should go? Or all of it? Is that what you're asking?
Like I'm trying to figure out, because I know a homie, for instance, that went over to the US for a little bit of time.
Right.
He's in theater, right?
Right.
And I think he was also like just trying to connect with people that side, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't hear it as an option that many of us explore, you know? So like
no, it's
the visuals, that's all we do, right? Just visuals. So like, do you think that thing is it even plausible for somebody like a camera guy or photographer to bounce and try to see if he can network on that side and then come back?
That's fair.
Yeah.
The question you sort of, I think I'm getting is, outside of the guys on the front,
Yeah.
should the guys in the back also be like, well, I hear about the DJs but
Yep.
I'm behind the scenes, I'm
Yep.
editing, I'm a producer. Let me also go do the same thing. It's not just for the guys in the front.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what I wanted to get at. I mean, obviously, it's my first time here, so it takes a while to get it to it. But that's exactly what I personally did, because when I started music, I thought I wanted to be Jay-Z. I thought I wanted to be DMX. I thought I wanted to be 50 Cent. I thought I wanted to be the star, is what I'm trying to say. But then I realized that my love comes from creating rather than everything else.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, I don't have examples. I mean, like I say, back then, it wasn't easy to just Google, or we didn't have Instagram to get the intel to say, oh, okay, what does this person do? What does that person do? Then I realized, oh, I'm actually a better writer. Well, I'm a good artist, I think, but I prefer the writing. I love being in the writers' rooms. I like being in camps. I like being behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? So,
guys like The Dream, basically.
Yes. So I started studying guys like The Dream and Tricky Stewart. Studying guys like Sean The Pen. I started studying guys like Dark Child.
Yeah.
You know, I started studying guys like so many of the people out there who write, who produce, who are very instrumental. You know, when you hear Boys to Men, or when you hear all these guys and you're like, oh, that's Teddy Riley. Oh shit, I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? You hear, you know, do you remember Michael Jackson? You only to find out Teddy Riley did that, or you know what I'm saying? You're like, oh damn. And then you look at the splits. You're like, oh, so this guy's getting more money than this guy. You're like, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? You're like,
people don't even know what
you know what I'm saying. So you're looking at the split. We'll get to that.
Yeah,
so I'm trying to sum up so it applies the same way behind the scenes as a camera guy, right? Same thing applies to a makeup artist. Same thing applies to whatever. These are combos I have with some of my homegirls here, because everybody studies makeup and they all want to go do what Mihlali does. Well, okay, be a YouTuber, bro. I'm like, but did you know that you can use makeup? Now, that's not like shade to Mihlali. I love Mihlali, but like I actually do. I love Mihlali.
Okay,
she's
let's
cool.
take it easy.
I do. What's up, Mihlali? What's up? just gonna leave that shot hanging in the air. See if it dumps in the basket.
Please carry on.
We're gonna leave it floating. But everybody, like every young girl sees that and they're like, that's the way.
Yeah.
But they don't realize that same makeup, when you're watching a movie and somebody's got a scar, a makeup artist drew that. They got paid to do that. Do you know what I'm saying? When you looking at somebody broadcasting on TV, or so many other ways you can use makeup, it doesn't have to be on Instagram or in a beauty channel.
Expand your horizons with your skills.
Exactly. And then the same thing with a camera, right? You can use it to shoot a film, you can shoot a podcast, you can shoot whatever you want to shoot. You can do drone footage that you can literally upload to websites that take footage. All you have to do is take your drone, shoot, I don't know, this building or whatever it may be. If the footage is dope, put it up there. They'll buy it for you for thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, people literally make a living selling what we call stock footage.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So, do you have to be Spielberg? Not necessarily, if that's not what you're trying to go for. But if all you do is love a camera and you're like, look, I just like capturing dope shit. Wherever I go, I just want to take pictures of dope shit. Then you have to think about how you think about the camera. Try not to chase Spielberg's dream. What's your dream? So one thing that SA doesn't have, that I always say, is we don't have an industry here. I know people always say, oh, the industry people. We don't have it. There is no industry.
This guy's getting worse as we keep going.
I'm not
This
holding.
is why you have to develop a thick skin, because it might say better, don't cheat.
That's a fact. There's no industry. This is why when you go to whatever establishment you go to, where you're going to watch a live show here, you'll see an Amapiano artist performing next to a jazz artist, next to an R&B artist, because it's more about, hey, how many people can we get in this building? It's not curated on a taste. Therefore, you're trying to get a Madala who likes jazz to come and listen, and then the opening act is somebody who's doing I don't want to mention like certain songs because people will catch feelings, but somebody was doing something completely different is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But when you go abroad, when you go to Germany, all these other countries, their festivals are very curated. When they say this is an African festival, you're going to go there and you're going to hear African stuff. They're not going to bring in a black British, not going to bring in a black American. It's African. When they say jazz festival, it really is a jazz festival. When they say hip hop, it's very specific. Is it West Coast? Is it the South?
And even our jazz festivals have hip hop artists that come through.
Damn. You get what I'm saying? So in SA, we haven't figured that out yet. Simply because the market is small, number one. So people are now concerned more about the numbers more than they're concerned about curating art that works.
Yeah.
Again, I know this is people are gonna say I'm ball hugging here, but I'm not trying to hug your nuts, bro. But this is what no Diddy, but this is why I like what this channel is about, because what it does is, whether it's 2,000 views or 100,000 views, Vusi Tembe gets the same level of attention and detail as Ubabo Sfiso Matondo, because the subject matter that these people are bringing is more important than the aesthetics, than the numbers. Because if you keep building it, I promise you people will come eventually. If you keep building something...
This guy's a real fan of the show. Damn.
He gets it.
People will come. So if you keep doing, like, that's what got me personally. So, because what happens is, all these other people, what they do is they're like, right, the views are tracked. Who can we get? Who can we get? Who can we get?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But when you keep doing those flash in the pan kind of situations, what happens when there is no flash in the pan?
You're fucked.
You're effed, right? And when that happens, then you're left exposed. Now because when your talent is not enough to sustain you, do you know what I'm saying? If you always need a guest, controversy, or something to stay afloat, it's not gonna work. So then that's how the US and all this, they sustain themselves, because they've built industries that are robust based on output. Hollywood gave us great movies for years. Action movies, it was reliable. You knew that this year you're getting a blockbuster. Do you know what I'm saying? So you trust the brand, you trust what it's gonna do for you, because when you see a certain name, a director, whatever, you're like, oh yeah, this is gonna be, you know what I'm saying? So that repetition over time eventually yields results, and it helps you create an industry, because then now you've created a section where you can really have people who are interested in really good cinematically, people who are really dope at acting. You cannot have somebody from Generations acting on your movies. It doesn't make sense. These are two different skill sets. You don't see someone from Days of Our Lives.
Is that shade? Why is it different skill sets? I'm also an actor, Baba.
No, it doesn't make sense. There's a reason why you've never seen anyone, Stefano from Days of Our Lives on The Matrix. It doesn't make sense.
Stefano Timera.
It's two different things.
Timera.
Am I lying? When you start to look at it fundamentally, you realize the difference. Like, we need to get to that point where first of all, we don't even have a real chart system in SA for music. I don't know if you know that. Metro FM can decide who's a number one song.
It's like Billboard.
Yeah, we don't have that.
We just have different radio stations.
Exactly.
We don't even have it top 40.
Exactly. We don't even have that across Africa at all. Why is that?
Wait.
That's actually hectic. Sorry, Caesar, hit.
So these radio stations, where do they derive their rents from? So each radio station runs their own rent system.
Yeah. Well, no. There's something called what's it called? Radio Monitor or something like that in SA. I think it basically pulls stats from your plays on social media, TikTok, streaming platforms.
Debate him. What do you want to say?
So what I'm trying to get at here is, if we don't have a billboard system in Mzansi, and we do have that radio monitoring system, aren't they using that to derive their charts?
But isn't that based on the radio station and also whoever pays Ipayola so that 5FM's top 10 is not Ukhozi FM's top 10?
Exactly.
Versus having a South African billboard like the JSE and an African Uti. These are the charting. I think that's what I was hearing from him, that we don't have like a go-to.
No.
Where you're like, this is the South African top 40 that everyone knows.
So they don't use that thing.
They use it. Okay. But to what Pen is saying is, okay, what if Ukhozi decides not to play your song?
And Ukhozi has been controversial.
Right? Or what if Metro decides not to play your song? Right? But that same song is popping somewhere in I don't know, in the Western Cape or wherever, right? It becomes very difficult to gauge whose opinion is right, because it's opinion. It's not a universal thing. That's why you will see that every December there's a different song for December from the one that the people want, or there's a whatever, because it's very subjective at the moment. Yes, you can look at it and say this one has 1 million plays, but 1 million plays doesn't necessarily always determine popularity, because that same song could be big in somewhere else.
Do you guys know how the Billboard charts work?
I was going to ask that.
But we can go look into it.
Okay, the way how Billboard works, basically, Billboard is more like it's a national thing, so it takes into account everything. So
it's almost like a compilation of everything.
Yes. So how it performs.
So it should be what we're raising, maybe, but combined. And we're almost arguing that we don't have that.
No, we don't.
So maybe Sizwe, you'll find that, look, it's fine for the radio stations to have their own thing, but we don't have one that puts them all together and then ranks.
No.
That's what
you can't have the number one song in Africa. You can't have the number one.
And then an African one for that as well.
Yeah, there is no number one song in South Africa, because you can't determine it.
It's the song Ukhozi.
Pardon?
Ukhozi FM determines, Baba.
Well, exactly. Which monopolizes the power, because then it means that if you've got your friends in the right places, I mean, don't get me wrong, it happens overseas as well, but it's a lot harder to do that.
And by genre as well.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? So, because when you have the number one song here, Metro FM doesn't play Maskandi. So if your song is big and it's Maskandi, Metro is not going to make it as number one. Does that make sense?
Never.
But when Taylor Swift has a number... Sorry?
No 5FM.
Exactly. Yeah. So if your song is number one, if you're Taylor Swift and you're going head to head with Beyonce, or you're going head to head with Drake, whoever has the most streams, the most everything, the most your DJ, because remember when DJs play your songs in clubs, they have to put the list of what they're playing and they submit that to rights collection societies, and they collect that. So they can see, like, okay, this song appears on this playlist, this person's getting booked here, this person's doing this, the merch, blah, blah, blah. Therefore, number one across all the board. So whether you're up against Taylor Swift or you're up against Beyonce, it's overall who's the best. It's not who's the top. That's why they have hip hop charts in the US, R&B charts. They have the soul charts. They have gospel charts.
Country music.
Yeah. And then they have Billboard charts, which is all of it. Do you know what I'm saying? So you might be number one on the R&B charts, which means that amongst the R&B guys, you're that guy. But when Taylor comes and blows you off the water, you're not going to get that Billboard Grammy or what, you know what I'm saying? But here, we don't have that, because Nkuzeni is going to have a big song, and then Tyler has a big song. How do you decide who's bigger?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? When you don't have a system to...
And that's the thing about, we don't have an industry. And this applies in so many different categories. I mean,
exactly.
Who's the best actor in South Africa? Who's the best actress?
How do you gauge that?
How do you measure it?
How do you... Exactly.
On which platform?
That's exactly what I'm speaking to when I say there's a lot of work to do, because we're worried about the wrong things. People are very individualistic here. They're like very, well, when I figure out how to get to Hollywood, I'm out of here type of thing. You know what I'm saying? But they don't really try to say how do I stay and build? So for me, I'm trying to see how I can apply what I've learned to say, how do we lend these skills and information to building a robust industry? Because if we don't, we're always going to be those people where we create, and somebody who knows how to put that system in place comes and snatches one of the talents and takes them overseas. And we've seen it with one of them recently. I'm not going to say who, but we've seen it recently. One of them gets snatched, goes over there, wins Grammys, wins everything, blah, 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 because there is no such thing here.
Yeah. Let's speak about splits, Baba, and exploiting artists and royalties and why our MT, Nabo, Tabase Dubai.
You really want to go there?
And Makazi was complaining. The guys that ambitious have complained about Aries. May she rest in peace. And close to a brother of mine, DJ Swoob. Zahara complained a lot as well. And many others. You wanted to speak about exploitation. Where are people kind of missing it here? And how do people make sure that they get the right splits? I saw not Mafiki Zolo. I saw Malaika on Podcast and Chill as well.
Oh yeah.
Them speaking about splits and but it's my voice, but it's my song. But what?
I wish I checked out that podcast.
No, nothing wrong. We can just speak generally.
But anyway, this is a very layered topic.
Let's try and simplify it.
Let's simplify it because in the interest of time and for people to be able to understand. So basically, music. Okay, music has different layers to it. So there's the recording, or also known as the master, right? Which is basically that's the song that you hear when it's mastered, it's mixed, it's whatever, it's finished.
It's a product. It's here.
Yes.
This is the song.
Yes. So that's known as the record or the recording or the master, right? And then there is what we call publishing. Publishing speaks to who wrote what, right? So the recording, it adds up, everything about the recording side of it adds up to 100%. And everything about the publishing side of it adds up to another 100%. These are two separate 100%. Are you with me?
Trying.
So when you...
These are two separate 100%.
Yes, these are two separate 100%. Okay. So I come, hey, Pen, I don't have a studio. I've written this song.
Am I Maporiza or am I someone else? Sorry, my bad. Please carry on. I'm so sorry.
I plead the fifth.
Please continue. I
plead the fifth.
I just said you don't have a
Shout
studio.
Out to Pori.
I've got a studio at Nando's. Sorry. Please continue, sir. Electricity.
Shout out to...
Sorry, please continue.
Who paid for the electricity, etc. But anyway, so...
you have a song. You don't have a song? Studio.
I come to you, Penzo. I don't have money to pay you, but I can give you some ownership of the song. Sure. The ownership of the song I'm referring to is the recording, the master. It's not the publishing. Because I wrote the music. Let's say I wrote the lyrics and I wrote the melody, which is the top, the instrumentation, everything. That means I would keep 100% of the publishing.
You will or you should?
I should.
Oh, ideally.
Yes.
Okay.
If I know about it, I should.
If you know about it.
Yes. If you don't, somebody will keep that. But it might not be you, but somebody will. So ideally, if you wrote, this is a situation where I've written everything: lyrics, the beat, what people know as the beat, or what we call the melody, etc. You would own 100%. But then if Pen lends me his studio and he says we go 50-50, he's talking about the recording. So you're going to keep 50% of the recording and I keep 50%. So overall, I'm keeping 150%, you're keeping 50%. Does that make sense? Ideally.
Sure.
Now I asked Sizwe to do the bass line for me, to do the piano, what. Fizo's like, well, I want 50%. He's talking about the publishing, which is the writing side. So now I no longer own 100% of the publishing, but I own 50%. And then he takes 50%. And then you take the other 50 on the recording, I take the other 50. Basically what I'm saying is the more people you keep adding to that equation, the smaller the percentage gets.
Yeah.
So if you read credits and it says Rihanna is the singer, and then there's The Dream and there's Tricky and there's blah, blah, and there's 15 people, that percentage can get all the way down to like literally 1-2%. Right. But if it's 1-2% of 10 million, it can make sense, right?
Sure.
So now where it gets controversial, what people tend to do, which is something I try not to do, and I hate people when people do this, but people do it anyway. mfethu khona istudio ngasekasi what awuzwakala
why do we have to change to isiZulu
because I'm speaking to those
ngale track tona yami awuthi record
because angithi ngikhuluma nabo labo abantu abazenza lezi zinto engikhuluma ngazo because those are the people that fall for these okey-dokes, right? So khona istudio ngasePimville, khona istudio ngase wherever Kagiso, wherever they at, zwakala iza namapia what sharp kumnandi bantu bayaphuza she sees all. Next thing you know, they're making songs, right? There's no discussion of whose the studio it is, who's paying who is writing what.
Yeah.
Just get in the booth, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
They throw it out there, song takes off. Now it's like, hey, who wrote what? Remember it was my studio. Remember it was my electricity. Remember I'm the one who paid for transport. Blah, blah, you know what I'm saying? And then it becomes a separate issue because people didn't really want to discuss who owns what. That's one scenario. The other scenario is people agree out of either desperation or out of wanting to just get the music out there because it's hard. Like being an independent artist is hard. Me making a song can easily cost me anywhere from 10,000 rands to 100,000 rands for one song. By the time you've paid a producer, an engineer, a mastering engineer, you pay for distribution. By the time you shoot a music video, and that song might only have 5,000 views, and then you have to go again on another song, and again, and again, and again, you might end up realizing, which as in, I'd rather just take whatever I'm given by a label.
Yeah.
And then hopefully when they push me, I get the exposure, and then I'll figure it out then. But what tends to happen is somebody will say, okay, I'm going to bet on you. I'll give you 1 million to make this song. And I want, I don't know, 60% or whatever of your splits, of your recording rights, which is what labels would generally do. Traditionally, labels are supposed to take their cut from the recording side. That's why they're called record labels.
Sure.
So the publishing side would go to the musicians, the recording side would go to the labels. Then back in the day, it made sense because obviously people sold millions of records. I mean, Michael Jackson sold what? Like a billion or something. I don't know, a lot anyway of Thriller. So imagine if somebody makes $1 billion and you're taking 50% of that, and you gave them, I don't know, 2 million to make the album or 5 million. It's a great return on investment. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it made sense. But with the rise of streaming and all this other stuff, those returns are diminishing, right? As you know, as I've heard you guys discuss how little Spotify pays out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But how else? It's either that or you put it on Fagaza. Which one would you rather? Right? so you'd rather take the peanuts than nothing at all.
Who invited us all here? Andothatha umngane wenu nimbuyisele le UK. Usefike ngengqondo zama-colonizer. Please carry on, bro.
Yeah. So what then happens is the labels were like, well, they came up with something called a 360 deal. A 360 basically is when they not just take a share of the recording, but they want a piece of everything to balance out the investment. Because if I'm relying on you selling, like for example, this is just a contrast. 50 Cent and Eminem and Snoop Dogg are probably some of the highest selling artists of all time, especially in hip hop. I think 51 sold, I think 1.2 million copies or something in a week or two or something like that. Snoop did like 1.5, Eminem was like 1.4, something like that anyway. Don't quote me exact to that, but it's somewhere in the 1 point something millions.
When they released.
Yes.
Sure.
Get Rich or Die Trying, Doggy Style, and the Marshall Mathers LP.
Yeah.
That would have been a lot of money. But then today, the biggest artist right now, who's the biggest rapper out right now?
Hip hop.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, like probably Drake.
Drake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Drake right now, if he comes out right now, he'd be lucky to sell 300,000 copies, 200,000 copies.
In a week.
That's how much the sales have diminished. Yeah. So these labels are like, look, we can't give you money.
We're not going to make money.
We're not going to make the money back. So, or else, if you want us to give you the money, let me make a little bit of money on your merch. Let me put you on a TV show. Let me get you on Love and Hip Hop, and then I get a piece of that. Let me put you in all these different things. In SA, what they do is, Abo Ambitious, they also do management, which is crazy to me. Why you would have your label manage you and handle your publishing, because that's like having it's like having your prosecutor be your lawyer. Like it doesn't add up, because because the whole point of a manager, I mean, I get why they do it, ambitious, or not just ambitious, other labels do it as well.
Yeah.
Where for the reasons I just stated, they don't make enough money. So they'll be like, well, managers would generally make a cut from putting you on certain opportunities, brand endorsements, blah, blah. They'll get a cut. So they're like, well, we're going to do that for you. Then you give me a cut there. I'll get you gigs, give me a cut there. I'll put out your songs, I'll get a cut there. I'll help create your merch, I'll get a cut there. And when you write for other people or for other things, you can make money on the publishing, and I'll get a cut there. So,
damn.
But then now the conflict of interest in the case of Dubai and our MT and other people, not that I'm picking on them, but I'm just using because they're high
probably the
profile.
most popular, so they must catch it because they're the most popular with.
They're the highest profile
Fifi
example.
Cooper, Amanda Black, MT, A. Reese, Dubai.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense to be managed. I mean, not all of them were managed by Ambitious, but some of them were. And your manager typically goes in the room and says to Sprite, let's say, am I allowed to say? Okay, let's say Sprite is about to cut a deal with you, endorsing or whatever. Your manager goes in there and says, look, my artist, 1, 2, 3, 4, we need 1, 2, 3, 4. And they make sure you get the best deal. But if your label is also your management, they are gonna make sure they get the best deal.
Yeah.
It's not in your best interest to do that.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, a lot of these guys do that. And then when they receive the short end of the stick, it's like, how did I get here? I'm like, but you can't have somebody who's in it for themselves handle everything. Ideally, you need a separate publisher, separate management, and a separate record label.
Yeah.
You cannot have one person handle all of those things, because the splits can get easily messy. For example, there's one, I think Babes Odumo once mentioned there was a deal where she was meant to get paid a certain amount of money. I think it was an ad. Was it MTN or something? I don't know. One of these ads, so commercials. Because by the way, you get paid for placements. So if your song gets used, what we call sync, which is basically having your song in a synced to visuals. So whether it's a film, it's a game, it's a YouTube ad, there's a fee for that, right? Now, if that advertiser comes and says, look, we want to use this song, we will pay out 1 million rands to use it. That's not royalties. That's just a fee for you. That's a licensing fee, right? That licensing fee, how it's split is based on the things I discussed earlier. Who owns the recording rights? Who owns the publishing rights? So if they pay out 1 million and the song Babes Otum, but it's produced by DRAGG and it's owned by Afrotainment, DRAGG's making money from it. This is an example. I'm not saying it's a real situation, but DRAGG produced it. So let's say he made the whole beat by himself. That's 50% on the publishing side already. Babes Otum wrote the lyrics. That's 50% to Babes Otum. Afrotainment owns 50%. That side of the recording goes to Afrotainment for 50%. And then Mampincha has a piece.
Oh, West Ink.
That's another 50%.
Rest in peace, Mpincho.
Exactly. Ne? So that's another 50% to West Ink, and then whatever's left then to Babes Otum, if she even has a piece on the recording side.
Yeah.
She might have signed off her recording rights and took an advance, which means that you've given money up front to make the music and then you recoup it later, but then they get to own the master, which means you don't make any money from
if the
that
song
side.
Blows up, you'll get nothing
on that side of it. So when that 1 million comes in from a licensing fee, 500 million goes to the publishing side, 500 million goes to the recording side.
500,000. Hey,
yes.
Take it easy.
So
1 million.
So from that 1 million,
500 million.
Sorry, 500,000. Yeah.
So are we still good with? Oh, sorry. Okay.
Okay.
Please continue, sir.
Okay. So that 1 million is already split into two.
Yeah.
So because Babes only wrote the lyrics, she's getting 250,000 for the publishing side.
Yeah.
Utira takes 250 for making the beat.
Yeah.
But Utira also owns Afrotainment.
Sure.
Therefore, And let's say it's a three-way. Let's just say for this conversation's sake, it's a three-way split of that share between West Inc., Afrotainment, and Babes.
Yeah.
That would be 33% each on the recording side, which means Utira is getting paid twice for his creativity and for owning the label.
Yeah.
So automatically on paper you'll be like, but how come this one is getting 500k? Sure. The song is mine, I'm told you 200.
Sure.
That's where the beef starts. You see, and it's
just a lack of knowledge on what's going on.
Yes, because you wrote the lyrics, but there's many other components here. So if you do both, which is something J. Cole does, he produces his music, he writes his lyrics, and then he puts it out as a joint venture with Rock Nation. So which means he gets to keep probably 75 to 80% of everything. So if
send your kids to tertiary. J. Cole, I think, was on a scholarship.
Yeah, St. Johnson.
Send your kids to tertiary.
Whatever it's called. Yeah. He went to the is it in Virginia or New York? New York. Is it St. John's or St. Johnson, whatever it's called anyway. Sure. Yeah. So that's what tends to happen, Pen. Like people generally don't understand. So when they come later.
This is probably also why J. Cole doesn't feature people on his albums.
No.
I ain't sharing shit.
Exactly. When you start to really understand.
It's like, not featuring fuck all.
Listen to 2014 Forest Hill Drives. It's all just J. Cole. It's all just J. Cole. Because he understands. He gets it. He's like, okay, cool. But at the same time.
Hey man, shout out to Frank Ocean. Sorry, please carry on.
Oh yeah, yeah, Frank Ocean.
Story for another day?
Yeah.
Just want to say shout out to Frank Ocean.
Okay.
Carry on.
All right. Shout out to Frank Ocean. Yeah, so but at the same time, giving away splits is not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
Because you also like keeping 100% of everything when you don't know what to do with it. It's not going to do anything for you. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you can say, I produce everything, I own everything. Sure, put out the music then. You don't have the budget for marketing, for videos, for whatever. So the music is gonna sit on your hard drive. You own 100% of it, but what are you doing with
100% of a hard drive, Baba.
Exactly.
That's your wealth.
Exactly. Right. So sometimes it's not a bad thing to give a little to get a little, to give away something. Sometimes your first deal is never going to be your best deal anyway. Yeah. So you might have to sacrifice to say, look, I'll sacrifice this, but maybe if I make some money down the line, I can buy back these masters or whatever.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? Like Taylor Swift doesn't own the masters for her first album, I think, or first two albums.
Yeah.
The one that Scooter ended up buying, and she started
Scooter Braun.
Yeah, Scooter Braun bought the.
That's Justin Bieber.
Yes, minus Justin Bieber, and I think he minus Usher as well. And Kanye. Yeah, he minus Kanye as well. So like, it's not necessarily. And Taylor Swift is rich. She's not necessarily struggling for money because she makes money everywhere else. Remember, when a label puts you on, it's also up to you to capitalize. You can't say, I gave you an album, therefore this album is the one that has to get me out the hood. If this label says, look, we're putting you in the TV, we're putting you on all these shows, we're putting you on the Penuel show, it's up to you to run with it and create businesses, create other streams of income from that. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's shout out to Fenty, shout out to Rihanna.
Exactly, right? So if Rihanna decided to be like other people who were on Rock Nation, she'd be crying right now to say, oh, Jay-Z took my money, but he put you on a platform to build something.
Yeah.
It's up to you to do that. Do you know what I'm saying? Now, am I saying these guys don't exploit people? No, of course there is an exploitation level because everybody's in it for themselves, which is why it's even crazier to have somebody manage you and be your label at the same. Do you know what I'm saying? So it doesn't make sense. So yeah, like with that said, like it's not always a bad thing. Like Kanye doesn't like owning a lot of his masters. Like Def Jam gave him his masters back a few times. He'd be like, nah, just give me the check. Keep that. Yeah. Like every time the deal lapses, is like, nah, I need the money. Give me the money. I want to go build a fashion brand and do other things. You keep that. Because at the end of the day, remember, when you take back those masters, if you want it on a film, Black Panther's coming out, you want to put it there, you need to make those connects yourself. Yeah. You need to go there. You need to speak to supervisors. It's hard work knowing what to do with the music to make it make money.
Kanye would have to explain. There's a lot of people that move in various ways in music.
Yeah.
That we hope, and they're not doing it. We always hear the sad stories.
Yeah.
But no one is actually sitting and schooling people on like the best ways to move and the pros and cons of each decision, so that
absolutely
at any given time you have like a decision tree, and you're like, if this, then this. If that, then
Yeah, because it might really not be in your best interest to own the masters. Because like, if somebody says, look, Pen, like I said to you, at some point, iHeart Media is going to come knocking and say, Penuel, we see what you got going on. How can we make this thing get bigger? You're like, look, cut me $200, $300, $400 million, right?
Let's get in there, Joe Rogan.
It could be that, right?
Boy.
You can get that Joe Rogan.
Let's get in there, boy.
It's not impossible. It's really, really, really doable, right? But you have to be in a position to say, look, I can take this podcast to where it needs to go financially. Talent-wise, I can do that. But like, I don't have the marketing budget to get it to where it needs to go. So when iHeart says, we got that, we cool. What you need? You need to be in this position to negotiate that situation.
I know exactly what you're negotiating.
Exactly. But you could also refuse and say, no, I want to keep it independent, which means that you're going to have to put up with the fact that iHeart is going to take that money and give it to somebody else who's going to crush you.
Yeah. These are
right?
Facts. These are
and you're going to have to
listen to a lot of whack music out there precisely because of this.
Exactly, right? So you're going to have to eat that. And those are decisions as a creative you have to make. And it goes back to what he was asking earlier about is what are the other ways you can tap into exploiting various ways? Because it's not a one size fits all. What works for Dubai doesn't work for Java. What works for Java doesn't work for Tyler. It's not a
Black Diamond also. That's another ambitious.
Oh, Black Diamond. Yeah. That's another. And by the way, they came out on top.
Yeah, they won their case, I think.
Sorry?
You mean they won their case?
Yeah, they did win their case against Ambitious.
Yeah, I know Amanda Black, I think, won as well.
Yeah, so like, it could have been a situation whereby they would have came out complaining that the other guys, but I think they understood that, look, in order for us to gain what we need to gain, we're going to have to take this L. But when the time comes to jump the ship, this is the move. But a lot of the other guys didn't have a game plan. It was more like, okay, look, I'm just happy to... You know, a lot of these labels, man, like, they pay your rent, they get you a lease car, they give you like a salary, which is crazy to me.
It's dope, bro. If you come from nothing, that's life.
Crazy, bro.
Shalemi Drand in a townhouse, driving a Mercedes.
But at the same
time... Earning 15 hour. Come on, boy, I've made it.
I get it. But if that's what you choose, then don't complain down the line to say... Because if somebody says, look, I can guarantee you 100,000 rands every month. Here's a car, here's a house, whatever. If they then go and make 1 million for every 100,000 they pay you, don't complain.
Don't complain.
Make sure you take...
Because they're also gambling on you.
Exactly, right?
They could be making a loss on you every month.
And when they make a loss, nobody tells the labels to give to nobody tells the artist to give back the money lost to the labels. Labels actually 9 times out of 10 labels lose money.
Facts.
9 times out of 10. Go look at any label at any given time. Young Money, Death Row, Galo Records, Galawa. Go look at the list of people that were signed to those labels and tell me which ones you know personally. Like,
facts.
Probably you know 5 to 10 max, and you'll see that they signed like... Lucky. Sorry?
If you're even lucky.
If you're lucky. Yeah. But you'll see that they signed 500 people. That didn't work out.
Yeah.
Those people was money spent on them. So that money has to come back somewhere. And if they can exploit you, they will. Sure. But it's also in your best interest to make sure that if they do exploit you, there's something in it for you.
Let's shut it down. I think in the interest of time. Khomozo ask a question, and then I want DRAGG to just speak to the audience, man, and tell people how they can connect with you. Because I know a lot of people are going to want to hit you up for more of your education, trying to see how they can hopefully move some of their stuff abroad. Okay. If maybe you're considering outside of events management, hosting workshops to school people online or otherwise. But yeah, Khomozo, the floor is yours, bro.
I was just going to say, besides the merch and all of that, where else can artists exploit their music? I mean, in Mzansi, a person that records something like my piano or something, I don't know if they can be endorsed by a brand so that they can get money that way. How's touring? Does touring actually give you money?
Oh yeah. That's probably the easiest way as a performing artist to make money. It's on the road. But then it goes back to building an audience, right? So you need to be able to build that audience so that you're able to tour, because you don't just get to tour because you're cool. You get to tour because you put asses on seats, right? So that's number one. But for me personally, what I found is sync music is where the money is for a lot of people. If you've got a bedroom studio and all you can do is make beats, or you can make songs, decent, good sounding songs. If you submit to music libraries, there's something called music libraries out there. EMI Production Music, Sony ATV, Ninja Tunes. There's so many of them globally. Mute Music. In SA, we've got Sheer Music. We've got so many publishers that would take that music and find what to do with it. Hey, Konozalo, they need a song that sounds like this. Hey, Kona Isho Bati, I don't know, Shaga Ilembe, and it needs a Mahubo for that. And if you're a good Amahubo type of artist, rather than sitting on that stuff, because it's not gonna trend on TikTok. Like it's not the trendy kind of music, but it has its place. So if it gets on that movie, that could be easily 100K, 200K payout and royalties perpetually. So it's a case of finding how to get your music used.
Syncing and jingles are not the same thing.
And?
Jingles. It's not the same thing.
It can be the same thing.
It can be, okay.
Yes, because jingles, like you mean like a commercial type of thing, like a.
When you spoke about a TV ad and baby,
that is sync.
I thought jingle.
Yeah, that's one area of sync. So remember, there's an audio there. So this can also be on a game. You're playing a PlayStation, there's music playing there. You get paid for that, right? You go to Woolworths, there's music playing in the background. Those playlists are curated for that. There's literally dog playlists out there. I don't know if you know that. For people that own dogs and cats, there's literally on Spotify, you can type a cat playlist. People leave that music playing all day. And the streaming services pay out the same amount of money, whether it's a dog listening or a human listening. So if you want to make ambience music for a coffee shop, you go to a coffee shop, you hear this nice chill music. You go to a massage, you hear chill music. You can do that. And there's money in that. You can make a lot of money doing that. You don't necessarily have to be the trending Amapiano artist. So same thing, even if you're doing Amapiano, you can still find a way how to get your music usable in alternative platforms and other media platforms.
Happy, G?
Yeah, thank you.
Damn. DRAGG, I don't know how long, well, I don't know when this is dropping. Do you visit South Africa regularly?
I try to.
Are you available for people to check you out? Where can people connect with you?
Hit me up on social media. Everything is DRAGG official. DRAGG official, like YouTube, SoundCloud, MySpace, whatever you use.
MySpace. Damn. The kids don't know what that is.
I remember those.
What does it mean you must go to his space? No. It's a platform.
For the old heads. No, I'm joking. But no, everything is DRAGG official. If you just type DRAGG official, all is one word. DRAGGOFFICIAL. Anywhere on any platform, you'll find me there, man. Hit me up. Like, I'm always willing to connect. Because at the end of the day, like I said, we can all learn from each other. We can all. One of the guys that I really, really want to connect. I hope he watches this. Is Osiabolela Ngang.
Boy Slim.
Yeah,
that's what's up.
I love the way he thinks. I love the way he does things. And I think he tried to dabble into music, but I think his frustrations, from what I heard, is what we were speaking about. People who are very short-sighted about what you're trying to do. So I think he's a guy who I would love to connect with and see what we can do, because especially on the publishing side, I think we can really do some stuff. But whether it's music collaborations, whether it's about workshops, like you say, to try and see how we can expand people's minds about what they can do with the music, because I know for a fact that everybody doesn't want to be a superstar. Everybody doesn't want to do Amapiano. Everybody doesn't want to rap. But because it's the popular thing to do and they don't see any other way, they're like, well, maybe I need to rap to get there. But maybe all they really want to do is make cinematic music. Maybe they want to make lo-fi. But they're like, I don't see lo-fi trending in the country that I'm in, or in my town. How can I make this work? That's where we can now connect you with music supervisors from movies or from whatever, to see how you can make this thing work, to monetize it, because it's very doable.
Jeez, Lawrence Sean Sibanda,
sure,
a son of the Sadek soil.
That's what's up.
Shout out to Ray Charles.
Shout out to Ray Charles. Is he Sadek too?
Shout out to Stevie Wonder. That's a musical prodigy. Shout out to Steve Kekan.
Yeah. Man, is there something to do with blind people and the name Steve?
We're never looking back again. After this, we're never looking.
We're never looking back again, right? Pun intended.
Drag, I'm honored to have sat with you. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
I need to give a shout out to Princess Mtombeni.
Oh yeah.
She really pushed for this to happen. She was like, you have to sit with Drag. I was like, look, I don't have slots. She was like, please. So I have to give a shout out to her. I'm honored to have sat with you.
Yeah, I'm honored.
And I can only imagine how many people are going to be hitting me up about connecting with you.
Oh, that would be dope.
And how we can elevate and see if we can build an industry, not just in South Africa, in SADC, on the rest of the continent, and school people. We're sleeping on the real commodities of Africa.
Absolutely.
Which is more than our mineral resources. It's actually the people and our arts and our stories.
Absolutely.
People like Netflix.
Absolutely.
You've referenced that Netflix, Amazon Prime are seeing what we have.
Yeah.
And they're coming to eat our talents, whereas we could be doing this for ourselves.
Yes, I mean, in closing, I'm just going to add to what you're saying, which is Africa, like everybody knows this, Africa is the future. You know, we have the young generations, we have the youth on our side. And above all, Africa's stories are vastly untold. From the stories of, I mean, if you think about it, we grew up on Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, we grew up on Scarface and all these things. These were stories that were being told of America. Mexican stories and Italian stories. These are immigrants' stories in America that were being told. In South Africa, we haven't had that. There's never been a movie about simply about the border between Zimbabwe and South Africa. There's never been a movie about how our Chidima end up in South Africa. There's no movies telling those stories, yet they are South African stories at the end of the day. There's no movies telling the story of how Leon Schuster came to be or who, you know what I'm saying? There's no stories basically addressing the diversity of this continent. And that's a deep well of information and knowledge and entertainment. And Netflix knows it, Amazon knows it, all these companies know it. They've told their stories so many times that they need to look elsewhere to say, what else? And we have to be prepared to sit at the table this time around, not to be dictated to, but we need to sit across from them and say, look, if you want to tell the story, Tribal House Media is going to shoot it. This is how much we need to shoot it. And this is how we're going to do it on our terms. Let's partner. That's what I want to leave people with. Where are you going to be when that conversation happens?
Drag official. Penuel The Black Pen. We're out.
Peace.